Good day, everybody. I hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. I hope you had a good weekend. And I hope your day's going good. Jeff, hello. Good morning. I am traveling this week, but can hang out for a few minutes this morning. Welcome in, Jeff. Mel. It's Shawn. Yes, it is. Jeff, where are you traveling to? Just out of curiosity, if you can share that with chat, go right ahead. So first off, nope, I'm gonna wait for that. But first off, I want to thank everybody within the community who stepped up and gave me a follow on LinkedIn. I actually, within a week, I hit the needed number, so I'm going to be able to stream to LinkedIn when I want. Pittsburgh, my hometown. I did not know you were from there. Very nice. Rawat, hello. Love from India. Thank you. And Mel says congratulations. Thank you, Mel. It was, I had to get like 100 followers, and so thank you, everybody. It's mainly for the relinked stream that will be happening sometime soon. I think that stream is going to fit LinkedIn a little bit better than Twitch. So we'll stop streaming on Twitch for those, but we'll be streaming on LinkedIn. But you'll always be able to find me here on Behance, so no worries about that. All right, let's take care of some introductions. Hello, let me go to the other side. Hello, everybody. My name is Shawn Kosel. I'm a photographer. I am based in Germany. If you're watching this on Behance, you can click on my icon that's all the way up there, and it'll take you to my home page. You can give me a follow on Behance, and you will be notified when I go live. And also, you can check out some of my past work, including some of the community's work, if you scroll down a bit, from a past challenge last year, in fact. Wow, it's been a year already. The Creative Circus. I started it a year ago. Wow. Okay. I gotta come up with a new challenge. If you want to check out any of my past streams, you can click on live streams right there. If you like what I do, feel free to subscribe and or buy me a cup of joe. If you're watching this on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, you're going to see a Linktree link within the chat, and it's going to look like this. If you would like, you can join my Discord, because we're going to be looking at some of the community's artwork today. And if you would like to share your artwork with the community, that is where you do it. Is that it? I think that may be it. That may be it about me. Yeah. Within today's description, so hopefully everybody went to live, and you know what? We need to talk about this really quick. One moment. Let that load. Okay. No, hold, wait. Wait. Do this. There is a rhyme and reason. Wait for it. Okay, there we go. So if you are trying to watch this, that's Inception there. If you are trying to watch this on Behance, I highly recommend to go to behance.net/live and click on me from there. If you go from the homepage and you see right up here, there I am, and then you see the Adobe Live, and hopefully this isn't loud. Let me turn down the volume. Okay. If you click on it, let me mute that. Okay. You can't scroll down. You can see chat, but you can't scroll down. I highly recommend not doing that. If you are from here, and again, let me make sure to mute it, you can scroll down and you are going to see an Adobe Express link. And this link is in YouTube, Facebook, and also Twitch. So you can open up this Adobe Express page, and that is actually going to be today's stream. So very important, when you are navigating around Behance and you want to get or look at any streams, go to behance.net/live. Very important. Otherwise, you don't get the information of the streamer. Okay, let's jump into the Discord. Now, unfortunately, I don't see anybody in chat that has posted, so we're gonna look anyway. All right, Stian, woohoo! Finally got the Canon camera working so I can work on my images on the go on the iPad. Still got some way to go with my photography, but thanks Oliver for the tip and using Wi-Fi connection. Right, so that is the before, and that's a lovely cake. That pie looks pretty good too back there. Now, okay, here's a question. And Mel and Rawat, do you have pie where you live? That's my first question. If you don't have a pie, what are those called where you're at? And I'm just curious. Okay, checking out the before and after. All right, I know Stian is not here, but you can see we've got a little bit of a color tone. So Stan ended up using a, me too. Mel says pie, I guess. I don't have much of a sweet tooth. Lightened it up, took care of some color balance, and straightened the cake. All great things. Now, as a photographer, you want to eliminate anything that is distracting. So, right off the bat, you want to check your corners in your viewfinder. Alex, hello. You want to check your viewfinder, you want to check your corners. So you can focus when you're composing a photo. You're going to look here. Bella, hello. You're going to look here. This is your subject. The cake is. That's great. But then as soon as before you take the photo, you just want to scan the four corners. You want to go here, run your eye up to this corner, here, and here. That's like a tangent. That needs to be eliminated. So just moving a little bit would take care of that. And also it would take care of this. It almost looks like somebody's arm. So that I would definitely take care of just by moving, maybe taking a step or even tilting, a little, just taking a half a step to the right. So that's my suggestion. Other than that, I like it. Very nice. Thank you, Stian. All right, so we have Sandrine. We've got more photo editing. If you would like to follow along, there is the link in chat. I published a new project on my Behance. Let me know what you think. Okay. I have not looked at this yet. And Sandrine is a spectacular retoucher. Holland and Barrett retouching project. Okay. Sandrine is such a pro. I'm not going to find probably anything wrong with this. It does look good. Yes. Yummy. Thankfully, I had lunch before I streamed. Okay, we've got Joe City, or Sidey, I'm not sure which, as the photographer. Retouching project for Holland and Barrett's new marketing campaign called Food That Loves You Back. Retouching and compositing shots for Holland Barrett's social media website and a variety of other outlets. Nice. Okay, I am wondering if this is like a new style for this type of photography. The shadows are very harsh. Very harsh. You can see what I'm talking about, like down here. Same thing right here. Mel says, I want to get into food product photography, but so hard to find a food stylist. That would be. The photographers that I knew in Boston that did their own, they stylized everything themselves. Big recommendation, use olive oil when you're trying to get that nice shine. You can use olive oil, which makes the food still edible. That's a tough photo right there. Wow. Berry bites with benefits. Immune support. Those look yummy. Apple cider vinegar. Interesting, and yeah, bare bulbs for that sunny feel, I guess. It's... yeah. I think, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it. Let's analyze reflections. Well, that's the thing, is how much of the reflections did Sandrine take out? I mean, that right there, that's a bare bulb, I would say. But again, this is nothing against Sandrine. This is just the photographer. And it's a legitimate question to be asking, you know, is this the style? Because I don't know. This project was part of the launch of the new concept Food That Loves You Back, with a new range of products showcasing plant points to help customers eating through plant-based food. Lady Jane A. Up Duck. Well, I guess the one thing, this photographer is consistent. Wow, Sandrine did a great job on this. That's tough. That is tough. I would love, ooh, that looks good, to see some of the before and afters, but because this is a campaign, you're not going to see the before and afters. That's just not going to happen. Mel and I are thinking the same thing. That is great. Great work. Thanks for sharing. All right. Jane says, well, let's face it. Who of us really likes to show our before and afters? I do. I don't like it, but I do show it. That's a great project. Very cleanly put together. Yeah, I got nothing to say about that. You know, here's the other thing, Jane and Mel, is if Sandrine went to the photographer, would you ask? Can I show the before and afters? Like, I guarantee Sandrine asked if she could use the photos in a project to be able to show them, you know, on her social media. So she guarantee Sandrine got permission to do that. Would you then ask, can I show the befores also? My thought behind that would be no. Sandrine did not ask. That's my guess. But Sandrine, thank you for sharing. Okay, we're going to come back to David in a second. Now we've got Jeff. Hello everyone, I want to share with you a self-help notebook and journal that I have up now on Amazon. I did the artwork for this. I used an online tool called BookBolt for the layout of the pages. I really appreciate some good reviews on this. I put a lot of effort into this and it shows. The watermarked artwork alternates from page to page, so the same page in each section is never totally repeat. Here's a link. Please leave some good reviews for me. Let's see, we've got quote of the day. Today I'm truly grateful for. Here's what would make today great. I am. Some amazing things that happened today. Some amazing things that happened today. Okay, we've got that twice. What could I have done to make today even better? I like the artwork. A dream journal. Prayer journal. Journal. I gotta say, Jeff, if you did this artwork, outstanding. Good job. I love the painterly feel. I like the monochromatic. Yeah, this is cool. Okay. Yeah, that is some good work. I like that. Good job. Let's see here. If anybody wants to check this out on Amazon, let's go ahead, put the link in chat. I am not going to open up Amazon. We may take a break and come back in case Bruce's mom shows up to take a look at her watercolor. But let me open that up and open up David's next one. All right. So David says, sneak peek for Team Shawn. I won't be sharing this on socials until next week. So we get the first look. So David shared, and for those of you that may be new here, David was sharing a series of work in progress. And I showed this one off last week. And that's what... Wow. Bruce, hello. Good morning, Shawn and friends. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Good to see you, Bruce. Thank you for coming in. I love the halftone work. Even the slight halftone down here. The shadowing is just... The cape is just amazing. The work, the texture. Absolutely amazing. Boom. I guess. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that I said it, it does. That totally sounds like a lightsaber. That's funny. That's funny. I was like, why does it say room or room? Sound effects with Shawn Kosel today. Welcome in, everybody. That's awesome. That is awesome. Great work, David. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. So good. So good. Okay, Bruce, is somebody up yet? Let me know. I'll take a sip and wait for your response. Because if they are not up yet, I will not share. How's everybody doing? Doing good? Hopefully you're all doing good. While I wait for Bruce to respond, let me go ahead and put this. Okay, Bruce, let me know, and what I will do is I will we'll take a break and jump back into the Discord. So I will wait for that, and I believe that's everybody's work. Yep, that's everybody's work. So thank you, everybody. Stian, Sandrine, David, Jeff, and Bruce's mom. We'll get back to that. Okay. So last week we were talking about photography, and I was editing your photos. Within chat, Michelle was asking a bunch of questions, and I was going in and explaining things about my workflow and things to think about as a photographer. So I shared this, and the link is in chat, the express link. And so if you're watching this on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, the link is in the description. So go ahead and open that up, and you can follow along with me as we go through it. It has been a year, probably more than a year, since I did this stream, and it kind of made me realize I need to do it again. So this is an Adobe Express page, as you can see right there. Adobe Express. Ooh, that's my old logo. Okay. So stop taking pictures and start making photos. So hold on, everybody. I did not grab a camera. I need to grab a camera. I was not ready. So don't go anywhere. This will give me 2 seconds, maybe longer. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Had to get my gear. All right. Now, I'm going to be switching back and forth between the Express page and also Lightroom Classic. So if anybody has any questions, please put them into chat. We're going to talk about this. We're going to go through the entire thing. So as you can see, I've got a picture here, and then a kind of a quick explanation. The exposure triangle is a reference to the 3 adjustment controls to expose your photo the way you want it. It shows how one adjustment relates to the other. All right, so with this, and I think it looks more interesting in Lightroom Classic. But what we've got going, don't memorize this. I know that people used to teach, like, you would go to some type of photography class and they would teach this as in they're trying to get you to memorize it. You don't need to. So don't worry about it. All this is to show a reference of how these 3 items in which you have total control over when you are not shooting auto, and we'll get into that later, but these are the 3 things. If you are shooting auto, the way it works is your camera is setting up a scene and it makes the adjustments thinking, oh, this is what they want. You don't want that. You want to make the decisions. So we will get into each one of these, but very basically, we have aperture. And if you go to a f1.4 aperture, that is where you're getting a very shallow depth of field and you're getting bokeh. If you go to a f22, this is when it is all in focus. You have a very large depth of field. For your shutter speed, which is exactly that. Sandrine, hello. We just got done looking at your project. Welcome in. Great work. Great work. While Sandrine is here, I have a question. Do I still have that open? I do not. I have a question for you, Sandrine. Okay, so going through all of these photos, you did a wonderful job cleaning everything up, retouching. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this is not on you, but with your experience, with your retouching that you've been doing, is this the style for product photography right now, whereas you have very hard shadows? Or does this happen to be just this photographer's style? Maybe the style for the shoot, I don't know. But I'm just wondering if that's kind of the style right now. I mean, look at this grape. Bare bulb. That's the style of the photographer, definitely. Yeah, I agree. That very consistent all the way through with all the images. Let me grab the website of the photographer. You'll see. Okay. Yeah, this one you can really see right here. Got a really harsh bare bulb, I believe, as Mel said. All right, let me bring that up. You never know what's going to pop up when you bring up someone's website, especially a photographer. Got to be safe. Okay, food and people. Very high contrast. Yep. That's really a lot of contrast going on. High saturation, high contrast, deep shadows. Yeah, definitely a style. Or her style. I don't know. It's Joe. Could be either way. Definitely has a retro feeling. It is intentionally slightly over the top. I can totally see that. It's got a bit of a retro. I'm trying to remember which film. Oh, yeah. This is beyond me. This is beyond me. I don't have the confidence in my photography for this. I don't have the confidence in myself to push it this far. So good on them. Good on them. I dig their style. Check out a couple more. Ah, that looks great. Warm, lively, infused with color. The color theory is so good. Yes, I concur. So good. So good. Like this. This would never cross my mind. Sandrine says they're very good. It's a couple. One does the photos and the other does the styling. Where are they out of? Okay, I don't want to show that, but let me... Okay, London base. Chris and Joe, got it. All right. The reason I was wondering was simply because there was another couple out of Boston that were kind of the same thing. So they're represented by an agency I work with. That's awesome. That is a quick, clean, straight to the point website. No bells and whistles. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Sandrine, thank you so much for sharing that. Great work on your project. Very nicely done. Everything I like. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, where are we? You're welcome and thank you. No, Sandrine, thank you. All right, so we are back into the exposure triangle. And let's stay here. So now we're talking about shutter speed, which is literally the shutter, your curtain on your camera, which allows light to hit your sensor. And it is the speed in which it opens and closes. So the slower means more light is actually going to be getting to the sensor, but there's also a chance for motion blur. Let it be camera blur or motion blur from the subject. If you speed it up, you are going to freeze the action, but also less light gets to the sensor. Because we're always talking about the lighting. The ISO is actually the sensitivity of your recording media. In this case, we're talking about a camera sensor. So the lower it is, some cameras start at ISO 50, others start at ISO 100. The cleaner it will become, the higher the ISO, noise will be introduced because of the sensitivity that is coming in from the noise. There is an amazing Lightroom Classic article talking about denoise and what noise actually is. Mr. Paul, nice, thank you. Welcome in. So, talks about what noise is, and since I did this with the Lightroom, Adobe Camera Raw, yes, a denoise function, it's not that big of a deal anymore. So we're going to continue on with this. Now we need to explain where all of these things are. So every camera has three elements: the lens, which is the aperture, a recording media, which is your ISO, and a curtain that is inside the light tight box, which is your camera body. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about this. Let me get the hood off. So this is my Nikon 24-70 2.8 ISO lens. So this is going to be, this will work, maybe it won't. Okay, there we go. All right, so hopefully, yeah, you should be able to see that. Within the lens, you have, move around my mic here. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay. You have the aperture. So as you can see, it opening and closing. So that all the way open. Oh, this is not my mighty lens. This is my most expensive lens. But this is my biggest lens is probably double this. Size only matters when you're trying to get away. So as you can see, trying to get rid of glare. Sarah, hello. Right now you see that little pinpoint in the middle. That is going to be an f/24. So very small. It's letting a little bit of light in. Now, if I bring it all the way open and you can see it opening, that's taking it to a 2.8. That is letting in a lot of light. Now, think of when you are dealing with, nope, that's later on. Okay, we'll get to that point. That is your aperture within the lens. Let me put that over there. Be very careful. Now, within the camera body itself, you're going to see a mirror. That mirror is going to go up and get out of the way, and there will be a sensor behind it. That is going to be within. Okay, there we go. That is going to be controlling how much, when the curtain opens, that depends upon how much light is allowed in, or how long the light is hitting the sensor. So very, very, very important. I'm reading chat. Sarah says, I never understood all these things in photography. I wish I could get better at it. I have absolutely no talent. Sarah, this is why I'm doing this. Also, here, follow along. I made a page just for you that explains all of this. Bam! Oliver, hello. I freak out about my dust removing the lenses of my camera. Okay, hold on. Okay, we need to talk about that because it's very important. So, getting a little puffer, a little air puffer, getting one of these is very, very, very important. So, anytime at all, you are welcome, Sarah. Anytime that I am changing lenses, I change lenses in the woods and clean the front element with my t-shirt, stop worrying about dust. anytime I change a lens, the very first thing I do is I take off cap before I do anything, and I blow on it. Then once I switch it, I take my camera, I take the lens off, pointing down, take the puffer, blow it up like that. I blow the other lens that I just took off, then take the lens that I cleaned and put it on. So making sure you're holding it down. So if there's dust or anything in it, it's actually falling out. Don't use your t-shirt, use a rocket cleaner. So, yeah, it's I change lenses all the time, so I have to do that. But it's something, you know, that's something I really didn't even think about talking about. The first time I removed the lens, I got a gigantic bit of dust stuck on the sensor. The camera had to be sent back to Panasonic. Jeez. I sometimes blow it into the back of my mouth if it doesn't look too dirty. Okay. We're moving on, people. All right. Don't do what I do. I'm not a good example, Oliver says. All right, let's talk about ISO. So in the days of film, we had ISO or ASA, and it is a sensitivity rating, and let's just call it recording media, because it can be film, it can be your sensor, whatever it is. The issue is I didn't see it first, and the dust got burnt on the sensor. Oof. Oof. That's tough. So, in the days of film, ISO 100 was used for outdoor shooting, ISO 800 was used indoors, and ISO 400 was your all-around film that you would buy. In the digital world, you can change it frame by frame, photo by photo. So some cameras, they actually have an auto ISO, and in certain situations, using auto ISO can actually help you quite a bit. Okay, I'm missing a ton of chat. Oh, so definitely don't do what I do. Buy some sensor cleaning supplies and don't shoot until it's cleaned. Yeah. Is that your nightmare? Rich people handling super expensive cameras and cleaning them with their hands. Dust is more of an issue with mirrorless than in the SLRs, because SLRs had a massive mirror in the way of the sensor when you took the lens off. Yes, absolutely. Okay, I carry a plastic bag. The plastic bag. Okay, Sandrine saying now I carry a plastic bag so I can change the lenses within the bag. Now the lens changing bag, now I know where you live, Sandrine, so that's probably very wise. If you are someplace that is very windy, dusty, sandy, yes, changing lenses within a bag is very, very smart. If it's cold, never change the lens. So, at least Canon mirrorless close the shutter when you take the lens off. Some others don't. Oof. Okay. All right. So, talking about digital ISO, and let's jump over into Lightroom Classic. Get into the next photo. Now, this photo was shot, and this is all this information is in the Express page. Shot at ISO 2000 with a 200mm lens, f6 at 1/25th of a second. Now, you're gonna say that's a very slow shutter speed, and it is, but I was using a monopod. So I was able to actually shoot with a slower shutter speed than usual due to the fact it was a monopod. Now, noise, if I zoom in, let's go into 300%. There we go. You can see the noise that we've got right there. Quite a bit. You're going to catch a lot of noise. You can see it on the face. Now, when I took this photo, they did not have the denoise function. So I'm going to right click. We are going to go down to, I will do where it is, create a virtual copy. I'm going to open this, hit D for develop. We're going to come on down and we're going to go to detail, and down here at the bottom we're going to say denoise. Now I cannot do denoise on this because this is no longer the raw file. Why is this not the raw file? Why are you not the raw file? Why are you a JPEG? That should be raw. Okay, well, I could find it, but we're not going to do that right now. Here is, again, zoomed in. You can see a lot of the noise. And anymore, don't have to worry about that. And this is driving me crazy. I'm going to have to find... Oh, I'm in the wrong... We're talking about noise. Want to... Okay. Sarah says, I feel like Canon is nowadays the go-to brand. If you can pay for it, of course. Sarah, that's an interesting thing because personally, now I shoot Nikon. The only reason I shoot Nikon is the place that I went to, they had mainly Nikons. So I found what I wanted. And now the majority of my glass, I've got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of lenses. Michelle, hello. So I have stuck with Nikon. But Canon has fallen behind, in my opinion, when it comes to the mirrorless cameras. Sony has jumped ahead. Panasonic, if you're going to ever do video, Panasonic is actually a much better video camera, kind of video. You've got the Fuji, which has an amazing JPEG processor. The processors in Fuji are amazing. So you really, when you are thinking about a camera, and I'm talking about, you know, you're spending some good money, you really want to do your research, because what is it that you're going to be using it for? You know, if you do a lot of videos, and yes, I said if you do a lot of videos, make sure, you know, look into a Panasonic. They do great videos. If, you know, the Sony, their mirrorless is amazing. Fuji, like I said, great processing for JPEGs. So yeah, it's just, you want to figure out what lane you're looking for, and they all kind of have their own lanes. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think once you're already invested in lenses, you're trapped to a brand. Yes, Mel, you're right, except like I still think I may be going to the Z. I may be upgrading at some point soon. And it comes with an adapter, so I can still use all of my Nikon lenses. But, you know, yeah, we'll see. Okay, when I first bought my DSLR Nikon, was going through swapping AF drive between lenses, bodies. Okay. Okay. The AF drive between lens and body, so not all their lenses. AF worked with all the bodies. I found it too confusing, so I bought a Canon. All right. Michelle says, I got a Nikon Z5 and it works great with the FTZ mount. That is good to know. because that's the direction I'm thinking of going. And it's crazy. I have to buy, I think in the US, if I buy it from a US supplier, the FTZ mount comes with it. And what that is, for those of you that don't know, this lens would not fit or wouldn't work with a Sony mirrorless. So there is an adapter, which is probably about that big, that attaches to here, and then you can attach it to the Z. So there's no glass in it, there's no nothing. It's just a metal piece to allow the adapter to connect. Okay, the one thing I regret on my lens is that does not have a manual focus. A lens with a manual focus is freakingly expensive. I know what you're talking about. It doesn't make your lens longer, so less compact. It does make okay. Yeah, not by much though, Michelle. I don't think so. All right. I was gonna find a RAW file since we are talking about ISO. And I love this conversation that we are talking about everything. Oh, I know what I did. I downloaded these. I'm on the wrong catalog. So I downloaded these. Let's see. That's gonna be ISO. Oh, those photos are missing. Great, great. Come on, Shawn, why am I always shooting ISO 100? Can I buy the tiny screen look thingy and adapt it to my current camera? You mean a viewfinder? A viewfinder? The FTZ is about 3 centimeters because I prefer taking pictures through a tiny screen. Don't know why, but my composition is always better. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. Well, I don't know what camera you have, but like on mine, okay, up here, whoa, you've got you can actually close the viewfinder, and yeah, you can't see it, it's all black, but you can actually close it, and this part screws off, and you can actually put an adjustment on it, like if you have a glasses or something like that, you can put a different viewfinder on it. Now, if you don't have a viewfinder on your camera, I don't know if you can buy one. I mean, Google it. So, okay. I'm just Evie, hello. All right. Have anything dark? All the snow. Of course, I'm gonna be shooting ISO 100. Oh. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on. So, as of right now, you cannot use the denoise function on JPEGs, only on RAW files, but I know the team is working on it. I wanted to show that off, but off the music. Salem? Hello, I guess? Off the music. No idea what you're talking about. All right, let's get back in. And it looks like we've got some new people in. Let's talk about aperture. So I showed the lens before, and Evie, if you would like to follow along, here you go. Here is an Adobe Express page. A is for aperture. A is for aperture. Yes, we'll be getting into that also. The blades inside the lens, which I showed earlier, to allow more or less light to the recording media. This also controls the depth of field in a photo. No, I didn't, Oliver. I did not. B is for bokeh. Yeah, right now the DSLR, well, the DSLRs, you get about 600 photos, maybe even more, with my Nikon. With my Panasonic mirrorless, I did not get, I didn't get many photos. I think I got like 100, 150. But this is also 10 years ago, so. I took my picture with Lightroom app on my phone. Was a massive garden adventure. That is great. All right. Sandrine, thank you for that. Ooh, I am just reading chat. Everyone's saying hello. All right. So the aperture, you can see right here, is measured in f-stops. For an example, an f1.8, which is a large opening with more light, to an f22 with a very small opening with less light. The aperture controls the depth of field. General, hello there. Now sometimes this is difficult for people to think about in the sense. The smaller the number, the smaller the number, the larger the opening, okay? The larger the opening, the smaller the depth of field. It's confusing, but one way to think about it is if you're looking at something across the way and you just really can't see, what do? You squint. If you're trying to focus on something, you can barely see it, you squint. So that is a way to think about it, that the smaller the opening, because you're squinting, the more depth of field that you're going to have. So like an f1.8 has a very shallow depth of field, with the foreground and the background outside the focal plane will be blurry. On an f22 has a very large depth of field, and it is mainly used in landscapes, something like that. I have a photo look the same as this. It's very confusing. Okay. Guideline. This is something that I like. Riyadh, hello. I came up with this because I was teaching this workshop and people just weren't getting it. They just weren't getting it. So think of it as smaller the subject, smaller the number. So we're talking one person, a flower, something like that, just a small subject. This brings the eye to the subject. This brings the viewer to the subject because you're blurring everything else around it. You want the subject to be sharp. Rick, hello. Good day, sir. The larger the subject, the larger the number. So if you're doing a landscape, you've got a mountain range with a lake in front of it, just this beautiful rolling hills. That is a huge subject. So you want to use a large number. Now, there's different things that we can be talking about. Frank, hello. That I'm not going to get into because this is trying to just get you started to think about making a photo. So we can always get into this a little further. Evie says I forgot to change my f-stop, which explains why my veggies were a little blurry up close. Yes. So every lens has a sweet spot for the sharpness. So normally it's in the middle. So an f7 to an f11, you're going to want to test it because every lens is different. So when I am photographing something, I'm depending upon obviously the subject. If I'm going for tack sharpness, like I'm trying to get it as much in camera as I can, I will usually be shooting at an f7. Okay, for your information, I have a Canon EOS R70 and a 70D, which both take the same battery. 70D is rated for 920 shots, the EOS R for 370, but I see no real difference in the real world. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, it may be, when it comes to batteries, and we need to talk about this. This is smart. When it comes to batteries, always have extras. And a lot of the time, if it's any chance of it being chilly, you want to keep your battery in a pocket next to your body. So even if I've got a jacket, a coat, whatever, I would take a battery and put it in my shirt pocket next to my body, keeping it warm with my own body heat. If you keep it on an outside pocket of the jacket, it's gonna die. Cold drains your batteries. Cold drains all of your batteries. They do, Frank. But yeah, that's just a little tip when it comes to batteries. I do, well, I try to do a lot of cold weather and snow photography, especially when I'm in Iowa in the United States during winter. So, okay. So for an example, because we're still talking about back to aperture, and let's go ahead, jump back into Lightroom Classic. This photo, as you can see, is shot with an ISO 200, a 35mm lens, an f2.2, so it's almost all the way open. With that lens, all the way open would be a 1.8, but I shot it at a 2.2 and 1/100th of a second. So as you can see, shooting that's too zoomed in. Shooting with that aperture, I focused on the eyes. We've got the eyes in focus, but you can see the hood right up here is already out of focus. The background is out of focus. So the focal plane, and you can see right here, this hood, the focal plane from here to her eye was the focal plane. The hood itself came out over the top, as you can see. So it's blurry at the front, and then that focal plane from her eyes going up and down, that was in focus, and then going back was out of focus. All right. Jane says, another reason not to take the powered wheelchair out in the winter. See, I've always done the right thing by staying in. It could be slippery too, Jane. I mean, do you have chains for that? Like, legit, this is a legitimate question. Are there like winter tires? Of course not. I honestly don't know, Jane. I'm not being a smart aleck here. Not here in the UK anyway. Okay. Spikes. Okay, no. Michelle says spikes. Jane says not that I've ever seen. All right, I'm just catching up on chat. Funny. Oh, okay. Next photo. Getting back into it. We're still talking about aperture. This was shot at ISO 100, a 28mm lens, f16 and a 1/100th of a second. So as you can see, zooming in, I wanted a large depth of field. I didn't mind, we've got a blurry background here with the clouds in the back, but I wanted the boat to be sharp. Obviously my subject here, I wanted to be sharp, and we've got a sharp foreground. So it finally starts falling off in the back, but it's a very large depth of field, so I was using a large number, which means a small aperture. Okay, Jane says, and when you can't wear gloves, those hand rims are bloomin' lethal to the fingers. Oh, Evie says, I've seen spikes as a fashion accessory on wheelchairs, but it has nothing to do with winter. Bruce says, I have a friend who wheelchair bound, and he would love that if they had that option. Yeah, especially where you're at. How to get a sharp shark. How to get a sharp shark. Okay. Riyadh, welcome in. First time to join you live. Welcome in. Good to have you here. Oh, geez. Jane says, sorry, tangent of wheelchair, but I always wanted to have spikes like a gladiator chariot. Oh, Jane. Jane, that's funny. That's funny. I could see Jane going down a busy street just taking people's ankles out. Oh, okay. We're going to talk about shutter speed. And spike all the cars parked in the way on the pavement. Oh. Insurance companies would love you. The shutter speed is the time the curtain is open to allow light to hit the recording media. The shutter speed is used to stop movement or create blur to show movement. A very fast shutter speed, like 1/8000th of a second, lets little light is allowed to hit the recording media. Now, very slow, as in 30 seconds, B, which means bulb, is opening the shutter with the shutter release button, and the curtain will remain open until you hit the shutter again. Shutter button again. Okay. Here is a tip. Depending upon... No, Jane, keep it coming. You're making me laugh. Little tip. Shooting handheld. Now, it totally depends upon how still you can be. Some people have more steady of a hand, other people don't. But the starter, to start with, whatever your focal length is, do not shoot slower handheld than that. What I mean by it, I am looking at this lens here. It is a 50mm lens, okay? So that means handheld, I'm not going to shoot slower than 1/50th of a second. So 1/50th of a second, if it's slower than that, like 1/25th of a second, there is a possibility to have camera shake. So, General, this is not a good time. Normally, I try not to say shooting, but this is a really tough stream to do and not use that term. So, I apologize, everybody. I will try to do better. So 1/50th of a second. Now, this is a 24-70 lens. So depending upon where I am at with the zoom will depend upon what I can shoot at handheld. Also, it's a little bit longer. So due to the fact it's a little bit longer, I have more to hold on to. I can prop my elbow up against my body, and I can be a little bit more steady with it. I wonder why that word is used in English compared to different languages. I should be saying photograph. When taking a photograph. I don't know where the term came from, Evie, to be honest. I mean, photography started in France, so let's blame the French. I don't know. I have some very good French friends in chat right now. They're probably yelling at me. Okay. If you have a lens body both with image stabilization, then the focal length to shutter speed rule goes out the window. I hate using stabilizer. In Dutch, yep. I hate using stabilizer. And the reason I never use stabilizer is I don't trust the lenses. I have one lens with, and thankfully it's the lens that I broke in Iceland. I have one lens with a stabilizer. Yeah, I don't even worry about them. I don't use them. You don't want to use stabilizer, any type of stabilizer, if you're shooting with a tripod. Yeah, okay. Instagram gives me warnings when I use the word shooting or remove comments that contain the word. Yeah, I'm more stable than a stabilizer. Okay. The issue that I have is the stabilization, what it's doing, and maybe it's gotten better. I don't know, but the stabilization is I've just never liked it. So it's been years and years since I've used it. Okay. Within the Express sheet, I've got a cheat sheet here talking about shutter speeds. Again, these are all just starters. It depends upon how much light you have. It depends upon so much, but these are where you want to start with. So if a subject like a jet, speeding train, very fast objects, you want to shoot at 1/4000th of a second. Speeding cars, 2,000th of a second. Fast-paced sports, like a football reception, you can a baseball pitch, 1,000th of a second. You have other slower sports like soccer, basketball, 1/500th of a second. Kids or babies at play, 1/250th of a second. They move a lot. They move a lot, so that's tough. Regular photos, 1/25th of a second. Panning cars around 1/30th of a second, and blurring water 1/8th of a second. So, okay, what are we doing? My chat has turned into French. Okay. Let's look at these photos. Let's get back into Lightroom. And so, talking about shutter speed. No mention of birds in flight. How about this one? You want... shows how refined my streams have become. Not me, just my streams. How about this? So, we are talking about birds in flight. And we are not going to have any puffins today. No puffins. This is shot at ISO 320 with a 420 millimeter lens, f/5.6, and 1,000th of a second. So as you can see, we've got everything. Oh, is this raw? No, it's all JPEG. Okay. Being able to capture this eagle when it's coming down to pick up a fish, that's what I was shooting at. 1,000th of a second. f/5.6 was the largest aperture on my lens. So that was as big as it would go. And so I had to bring the ISO up to 320 to get a correct exposure. All right. Shooting fireworks on the Rhine River, the Rhine on fire as it's known. With this photo here, I shot it at ISO 100 with a 200 millimeter lens, f7.1, and 3 seconds. That was my 2 to 500, Oliver. My 200 to 500 millimeter lens. So I knew. Oh, Alex, hello. Sadoda, hello. Alexis, I apologize. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, everybody. I missed you over on chat. Good day. I hope you're having a good day so far. I need to pay attention. I've got too many screens. Sorry. Shawn holding his breath for 3 seconds. No, I had a tripod. I had a tripod for this. But I knew I wanted this to be a long exposure, so I didn't bring the ISO up. Normally, like what you would do when you were shooting night photography, I had the 200 millimeter for my focal. The f-stop, I wanted to try to get a decent depth of field here on the castle and also the grounds itself kind of being lit up. So f7.1, I was kind of aiming for a sweet spot there, trying to get the focal length, and also for the 3 seconds, that's what I needed. And the reason it was 3 seconds is because I did tests. I knew what was going on. So, all right, moving on. We've got the Boston Marathon. Again, it was so freaking hot and sunny. ISO 100. I had my 200 millimeter lens. And it was so bright, I had to bring the f-stop all the way to f32. So, I mean, we're talking a pinhole, just trying to stop any light coming in. And I wanted blur to show the movement of the feet. So that was 1/15 of a second. Did you have a big stop ND for slow shutters on bright days? No, I don't, Oliver. I don't. I don't use ND filters. I would love to. At the time, I lost the need for them. And so when situations like this arise, I don't have it. You know, you can spend a ton of money on an ND filter. I was photographing a solar eclipse, and I needed an ND filter because I'm shooting the sun. I'm photographing the sun, and the only thing that I could find was a oval, very oval glass candle. What's that? Yankee candle, whatever. And it was black with soot. So I actually put that in front of my lens, and I had my camera on a tripod. I put that on a table in front of the lens. That way I could get the photograph that I needed of the sun. Very cool, very cool. So there's different ways to get about it. Evie says, can I remind everyone how bad fireworks are for pets? My poor dogs do not like the recent fireworks. Okay, I can do the marathon and you can let the speed at 1/50th to take a picture of me. All right. Sandrine says, when I was a kid, we lived up the sticks, and it was full of hunters. We had to train the dogs so they didn't get scared. Okay. I've got some proper solar film somewhere I can put over the front of the lens. Nice. Meanwhile, cats don't give a... All right. Moving on with shutter speed. Okay, same Boston Marathon. We've got ISO 100. Now, this is actually a panning shot, okay? This was a handheld shot in which I'm sitting on the ground taking a photo. Now, this is a panning shot. And what I am trying to do, Alicia, hello, good morning. Welcome in. I hope you're having a great day. I can see that you like to keep the ISO a low number. Alexis? Yes, but not anymore. not since denoise came out in Lightroom Classic, Adobe Camera Raw. Now I don't care. I'll bring the ISO up. I just had a, I'm gonna say photo shoot, but I just had a gig in which I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what the ISO is, just as long as I get the shot. All right, Alicia, stick around a second. Let me finish talking about panning, and then we'll look at something else really quick. So panning, what you are doing, let me go big head mode. To explain, you figure out what your settings are. And with the settings, I'm gonna make sure I don't hit the lens. With the settings, with the moving subject, you want to, first off, set the focus of where the person is going to be. So let it be a manual focus. So turn off your autofocus, go to manual focus. And I know, Sandrine, you don't have it. Go to manual focus or use focus lock, which I've got a focus lock button right there. So you will choose it. So I was picking the yellow line. Now, with this photo, I'm gonna show you something. With this photo, I was choosing the yellow line to focus on. And if you look here, the street is pretty much neutral gray. So you can set the exposure that you want. So I know I shot this at 1/50th of a second. Then you can make the adjustments for your f-stop by just focusing on the ground, by focusing on finding a gray spot. What your camera is doing when it's trying to create a decent exposure is it's taking all the light and all the color within your photo, smashing it all up, and you're looking for 15% gray. That's what you're looking for. It's a neutral gray, so your RGB values are all going to be the same. If I go in, hit D for develop, let's go up to our basics. We're going to grab the eyedropper right here, and this is going to be tough to see, but it's small. So as I move this around, you can see the RGB values. It's 50%, 51%, 50%. So that is a neutral gray. So I can sit here and choose, set my exposure, because I've got a gray card pretty much right in front of me, a giant gray card. I know my shutter speed, so all I have to do is adjust the f-stop. Now, the technique of doing panning takes practice. So what you want to do is you start, if I'm taking the photo here, right? You want to start over here. Then you follow at the same speed as the subject. You come in and it's all one motion. Click and follow through. You want to make sure to follow through. You do not come and stop, okay? Follow through like that. Go all the way through. You know where you're gonna take the photo. You know what you're looking for. So click and follow through and move the same speed as the subject. Very important. It takes practice, but it can be a lot of fun. Okay. Let's get back in here. I am reading, okay. Still talking about manual focus. Who said photography wasn't a sport? Oh, it's true. Okay. What do we have next? All right, we're gonna go into settings. But first, everybody, let me come out of here. Let's jump over here. What am I looking for? That's what I'm looking for. Hi, Bruce's mom. Hi, Bruce's mom. One more time. Hi, Bruce's mom. There we go. Okay. In the Discord, let's see here. Ooh, Michelle, I see that you sent me some stuff. We've got something from Bruce. Let me bring my mic back. Kosel challenge for the day, panning shot. Okay, we'll try. Just find a street, Mel, with cars. Bruce says, hi again, Shawn and Kosel friends. Mom has been busy. I just wanted to share some of her watercolor work. It doesn't have to be today because I know you're busy. I never tell her that I share her artwork, by the way, so there's no pressure in taking the tangent bus to tangent down. Thank you again for always putting a smile on her face. Bruce, it puts a smile on my face. I absolutely love sharing this work, and Alicia always makes me happy. Okay. How much can I zoom? All right, we've got a zoom. Nice. That, I love the bumblebee. So I was just in Oregon before I went to Max, and there was a region that had a art tour. They had like 150, just in this small area, they had 150 local artists that you got to go to their studio. You know, of course they're selling stuff. You got to go to their studio, see their work, and it was everything from metalwork to painters, photographers, everybody. But it was massive driving. So we only hit like 4 artists. One of them was a watercolor artist, and I had the greatest time chatting with the couple because I've gotten to know watercolor from the artists here in the community. So I appreciate that. I love the bee. That is nice. This one is so good. How large are these? Nor, hello. Oof, this one is beautiful. Wow. That is gorgeous. Love the purples here. They're all they're small. Wow. Okay. Oh, good. Ooh, look at that one. These are great. I love the color. You even shoot at ISO 1280. As my personal experience, the denoise tool on software smooths too much the image and does not look natural. Lexus, I think Oliver shot at like 12,800. And I'm gonna give you a tip. Here. Let's say you're doing portraits, and this is a tangent to a tangent, everybody, just to answer this question from YouTube. What you want to do is you go ahead and use the denoise, right? Then if it's a portrait and you're still not happy with it, go into the neuro filters and use photo restoration. And within the photo restoration and the neuro filters is a face detail. Crank that slider up a little bit and it will sharpen up those faces like you will not believe. If you ever have that problem, that's where you want to go. So it's nothing. It's AI. No AI is a one click button and you're done. And I'm a moderator for the Firefly, Adobe Firefly Discord, and a beta tester for Firefly. It's never done with one button. So make sure that you can go in, you can add your sharpening, you can get the details back by using other tools. But great question. Okay. I've learned that the hard way, by the way. Bruce's mom. I absolutely love these colors. Let me see. What? Bruce says, I notice she mixes acrylic with watercolors sometimes. So good. Okay, Oliver says, I did ISO 102,400 just to see if denoise would fix it. Okay, 100,000. This is a great collection. Great collection. I just like looking at it. Alicia, thank you so much. Bruce, thank you for sharing. Keep working. I love it. And thanks, Bruce's mom. And thank you, Bruce. Love taking a look at the community's artwork. Everybody is saying well done, that they love the watercolor. Meta tangent, yes. Oliver saying, I find continuous zone autofocus surprisingly good for birds, but it does massively slow down. Yes. Not ideal for sport. Okay, my camera, talking about the autofocus, let's get back into Lightroom. This camera is made for sport and wildlife, and it actually does really good 3D continuous focusing. So I'm happy with it. The problem is I forget to use it. I forget to turn it on. Oliver says denoise did a surprisingly good job, but it's not a technique I'd use normally. No, it was a good test though. Tell her she's good, but she already knows it. Bruce says, thank you, Shawn. Appreciate it. She was super surprised. Thank you, friends. Thank you for sharing, Bruce. All right. Let's get back over here. And we have talked about the whole point of going over the ISO, and every single one of these I've put in the ISO, the f-stop, and the shutter speed, and talked about why I chose those. Now the reason behind that is getting back up to the top, and I'm scrolling fast, I'm sorry, is getting back up here to the top at the exposure triangle, is being able to learn the fact of you change one thing, you got to change something else. If you're allowing too much light in because of a large aperture, you'll need to adjust the shutter. For me, and I know I'm going to go over this again, first thing I figure out is what is important. You know what? No, let's keep going. Let me scroll back down. We're going to show examples instead of me just chatting. Okay, we need to talk about shooting modes, all right? So first off, shooting modes. That is on my camera. Let me go big head mode. It's the dial right there where your shooting modes are. Others, they will have them up here. Usually it is a dial on most cameras. Okay, shooting modes, M or manual. You have full control over all the settings using the in-camera light meter as a reference for the proper exposure, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. So you have full control. Now shooting, you can still in some cameras use auto ISO, and then you will have control over the aperture and shutter speed. We've got aperture priority, which is Nikon an A, or AV, which is aperture variable, something like that in Canon. I don't know. Where you set the aperture of the camera And then the camera will adjust the shutter speed or what it believes it needs for a proper exposure. This is mainly used when you are very specific about your depth of field. I honestly, I don't use it very often. Okay. Like 95% of the time I'm in manual, probably 98% of the time. All right, we have shutter priority, or S, or TV, and the T is for time in Canon. You set the shutter speed and the camera will set the aperture needed for the proper exposure. Used mainly when you're trying to stop action or blurring a subject, like birds. A lot of wildlife photographers, sport photographers will use shutter priority. They'll use like shutter priority. But now the problem that I find with shutter priority is unless you can meter it correctly, you'll need to figure out your ISO. That way you can actually get a correct aperture. Now, if you're shooting with a lens, and I don't even have one here, that it only opens up to like 5.6, and you need more light for whatever reason. Umacorn, hi. You need more light. You know, it's going to try to give you as much as it can, but sometimes you need to pay attention to what you are doing. So setting your camera to catch those car lights at night, how would you set your camera? I would be shooting that because you're shooting at night, which means you're in changing conditions. So first off, you're going to end up wanting to go, I don't know, a 4-second exposure. It depends how many cars you have. And Bruce, keep that question, okay? Because we're going to get to that in a second. But for that, and you know what? I'll talk about it now. That is a prime example of, I want to create this photo. What is the subject? Okay, moving cars. What type of photo do I want to create? Do I want to make? And it's like light streaks. Okay, how do you do that? You have to have a slow shutter speed. Okay, so right there, that tells you number one, your shutter speed is the most important thing about all of this. So to begin with, you think about, all right, I want to say, let's say a 4-second shot. So I've got my tripod, got my camera, I've got a 4 seconds set on my shutter. Usually at this point, you're gonna look at what you need for for your f-stop. So can you get away with like an f7, f11? So that way you get nice sharp, or maybe f16, and you get really long streaks of light. Maybe there's a lot of cars. You don't want that depth of field, that blur that you would get in the foreground and background. So maybe you do bring it up to f11. Now the last thing you do from that point, because you've thought about, I want a slow shutter, okay, check. I want a large depth of field, okay, check. Now to get the correct exposure at this point, and always the last thing, I would adjust the ISO to get what you want. Now at this point, when I say to get what you want, you need to be careful because you're taking pictures of light. You're not taking pictures of the dark road. So when you're exposing, you're actually exposing for the light. You're not exposing for the darkness. You're exposing for the highlights, and what you always want to do. It's so much easier to bring detail out of shadows than if it's blown out, you're not going to get any details whatsoever. And Rick, it does go to 11. 11 is more. So hopefully, I'm going to explain this again, but you figure out what is the priority, shutter or depth of field. Then you work on the other one, and always last is ISO. Always exposed to the left. Isn't that a song? Okay, P for program. It does not mean professional. Now, I've got a story about this because I don't know if the guy was joking around with me or not. But I bought my first real camera and I'm all jacked up. I got all this gear. Yeah, my first real camera. The guy that sells it to me, I'm talking and I'm new. This is before I went to school. This was, I'm new to this type of camera. And I'm chatting with the different programs about them. And he says, yeah, you should always shoot P. And I do not remember if he said P is for professional, because that's the joke. P's for professional. No, it's not. But I left that, and shooting P, which is program, and it was horrible, but I had to learn to listen and feel my camera so much. Now, what P is, it is a combination of the aperture priority and also the shutter priority. And so you can switch. I was able to go through and adjust one or the other, and then it would automatically switch. So if I'm changing the aperture, it would automatically switch the shutter speed for the exposure I'm in. Now, at this point, I'm brand new to Germany. I'm brand new to Europe. I'm going in, I'm taking all these photos, and I can hear it. It made me start listening to my camera. I was thinking in my head, okay, I'm taking this photo of I'm inside a church, and it's this massive church. So I want to shoot at like f11. So I'm shooting in P because I was told. So I set it to like f11, and I take the photo, and I hear a dook, dook, which means that's the shutter opening and closing. The first click is the click, click, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so slow. So then, in my mind, I'm having to change the f-stop to get a faster shutter speed. I mean, you're chasing your tail. You are absolutely chasing your tail. I would say, don't use P. I don't even know. No. This camera doesn't even have it. No. Let me double check. Hold on. Oh, it does have P. I didn't even know my Nikon. Okay, it does have P. Shame on you. Shame on you. You shouldn't have it. All right, I missed a ton of chat. Let me see. We've got... Yep, Oliver says P for professional. Rick says, I can't imagine trying to learn all this back in the film days. You have to develop the film before you see if you're experimenting, created what you're hoping for. Yeah. Yep. P for please, P for pizza, P for push the button. Nor says auto is the worst as it automatically shows me how bad I am. Oh. Okay, EVs, recently learned I have a famous photographer in my family, late 1800s, early 1900s. So they had to work. Yep. Oliver says, yeah, P is sort of weird, semi-automatic mode. I dislike it strongly. Yes. Okay. Wow. How blurry was this shot? Yeah, it was very blurry. Okay. My partner uses P when he uses my camera. I don't know. I'm telling you my experience. Will I use P ever again? Or program? No. Then you have auto. Or it's a rounded box like thus. Okay, so I have another cheat sheet for you. We're going to be talking about all this stuff. First off, you've got camera modes. This on the left side, this is Nikon. That on the left side is Canon. On the right side is Nikon. I think Sony also uses AV and TV. I cannot remember for sure. Somebody will let me know in chat. But you've got manual, aperture priority, shutter priority. TV is for time. That's a way to remember it. Program is P, and automatic. So that is those. Now, within this cheat sheet, we have white balance. I am not going to talk about white balance for one simple reason. Shoot raw. Shoot raw. Shoot raw. Shoot raw. Learn from me for the love of Pete, or for the love of program. Learn from me. Okay, Sony is ASMP. Gotcha, thank you. Back to when I got my first camera, I had a laptop, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not gonna shoot RAW. I'm shooting JPEGs. They're too big. I don't want to take up this much space on my laptop, and I'm taking, thousands of photos a month because I'm just doing nothing but traveling. God, I hate myself for that. I hate myself for that. I have ruined so many photos, thousands and thousands of photos, because I wasn't using Lightroom, which is non-destructive. I was using destructive programs to actually edit my photos, and I was shooting in JPEG. I lost thousands of photos. And from what I learned, from what I know now, I would love to be able to go back and work on some of those photos, but I can't. They're just so far gone because I edited destructively and I didn't photograph raw. So why am I saying shoot raw with white balance? Because in Lightroom Classic, if you shoot in raw, you have all of the adjustments within Lightroom. You can make all these adjustments. Now, getting back into Lightroom Classic, as I've been saying, these are JPEGs. I downloaded these from a different catalog and loaded them up. These are JPEGs. This was for the booklet that hopefully people are following along with. If I hit D for develop, I go into the basic panel, and let's go in and see what we've got for white balance. Auto and custom. That's it. If it's a raw file, and let's go back into the vineyards. We've got auto, daylight, cloudy, shade, tungsten, fluorescent, flash, and custom. Shoot raw, shoot raw, shoot raw. Memory is so cheap in comparison to what we used to pay for when it came to memory. Yeah. I know I've discussed this before. I probably have 7 terabytes, 8 terabytes maybe of memory right around here. So I save everything. I shoot everything. Please, if you are new, shoot raw. If you are shooting, if you're photographing, dang. If you are photographing, I'm gonna go big head mode. And you're the kind of person that likes to see the way it looks when the camera processes the JPEG. Like a lot of photographers with Fuji, because the JPEG processes so good, is so well, they actually shoot RAW and JPEG. So every photo that they take, the camera will write one RAW and one JPEG. For me, I have a two slots here for my memory cards. I can go in and I can tell it, I want you to put the JPEGs on this card and I want you to put the RAWs on this card. You can separate them that way. Just make sure you have a RAW. The people with Fuji that I've talked with, what they like to do is actually look at the JPEG and then try to edit the RAW close to that and then make their tweaks for whatever style they are. But shoot RAW. I cannot say it enough. Shoot RAW. Okay. Oliver says, fun fact, Fuji X-T cameras don't have modes. You just turn auto on and off for each value independently. Is the XT, is that the old style one? Nora says, have you ever had clients who asked for the RAW files and did you give them? No, not for me, because you have to remember, the clients that I had this was shooting, photographing sporting events, portraits, things of that nature. So they would have no use for a RAW file. I know it's their high-end mirrorless. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I was part of the Fuji reps, or I was helping the Fuji reps before COVID. So it's been 3 years since I've messed with their line. I don't remember. Okay. People. Okay, I was just going to ask about Sandrine. A client of mine just went from Pentax, a medium format, to a Fuji full frame. The amount of details, but also the price. Yes. Well, I was photographing with their 50 gig medium format, and it's amazing. But yes, I think the body started at 3,000 euro, and then one of the lenses that I was shooting with was like 4,500 euro. The one that looks like a film camera comes in black and silver. Yep, that's the one I'm thinking of. I received RAWs to retouch unless they're already graded. In that case, they're TIFF. That's exactly what I was going to ask you, Sandrine. Thank you for that. Okay, we are not going to go through the rest of this. The aperture, the cheat sheets for you with the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. We've already gone through that. Okay, let's get back in. Now, light meters. Light meters. You're going to have a light meter like this within your viewfinder or even on the back of your camera if you're shooting live view. So this is what you're going to have. Now, obviously, you're not going to have this if you're shooting auto. What is it? I think P doesn't have it also. Let me go into live mode. Hold on. Okay. Let me stop trying to focus. P does have it. Okay, shutter does, aperture does, and of course I don't have manual here. Okay. So, it does have the light meter. What it is you're looking at, your camera, well, I'll read this to you first. In the viewfinder, or on your rear display, you will see the light meter when shooting certain modes like manual. You will not see it if you are shooting in auto. The meter is using 18% gray. I said 15 before, I was wrong. 18% gray for proper exposure. If the bottom hash mark is to the right, towards the +2, this is overexposed. To the left, it will be underexposed. 0 is proper exposure. As you adjust the aperture and or the shutter speed, the meter will adjust accordingly. So as Oliver was saying before, shoot to the left or lean to the left. That means having your light meter maybe going a half a stop to almost a full stop to the -1. It's easier to bring out your shadows. Expose for the highlights. So what that means, jumping back in, let's look at this one. As you can see, I was photographing for the clouds. I exposed for the clouds or for the lighthouse itself. Those are the brightest points. So setting your exposure here and then able to bring out the shadows, that's what you want to do. I'm missing a ton of chat, but you guys can keep going without me. So exposing for the highlights, that does not mean where to focus, okay? So what you want to do is, I am using a spot focus. What that means is, if anybody saw Terry White's stream yesterday, he uses spot focus, which is a little tiny square, and you are literally trying, everything is being metered or focused on that tiny spot. So what I like to do is, I will first off, if I'm looking at the clouds, I will go up and I will set my exposure. Once the exposure is set, it's fine. Then I recenter and I start focusing on whatever the subject is. So using manual mode, I can set everything up right there, and then come down and select whatever what it is I wish to focus on. Michelle says I always use spot focus. So do I. Unless I'm photographing birds, then I will use is it the 8? It's the 8 spot 3D. So I'll switch it over. I almost always use spot focus. Yep. Sandrine, have a great day. Thank you for being here. Okay. So does that make sense with the metering? These are the things that you want to look at. I use a face recognition thing, focus thing. Those are getting good. Those are getting good. The horizontal center band zone. I use my anger. It gives me focus, makes me stronger. All right. So I'm going to go over this one more time really quick. Once you are looking at making a photo, you see something. Now, when shooting the sport events, do you have several cameras all set in different configurations just to not miss shots? I see a lot of pros do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I will have now, okay, I have 2 Nikons. I will have one with my 500mm lens. Now, of course, it depends upon the sport. It always depends. But yes, I will have my 500mm on one body, and then I will have maybe a 50 or a 35mm on another body. Alexis says sometimes isn't it better to shoot underexposed to avoid the highlights? Absolutely. That is the correct thing to do. Underexpose, and let's jump back in. You see what we've got here. Going to the vineyards again. Here's a prime example. Okay, so wow, that's blurry. There we go. Now I am focused, as you can see. Let's wait for the histogram to come up. Looking at the histogram up here, we are slightly underexposed here. This is the sunflower and the greenery that you see within the vineyards. And then this spike right here, that's the sky. So let's hit D for develop. Let's see. Why did you just turn red? Holy cow. Okay, there. Whew. Okay, it is on. So we're not peaking yet, but if we do, let's overexpose. You can see, okay, it's blown out. Now, what you want to do with the same photo or close to the same photo, I was trying to bring out and expose for the highlights. Now, as you can see over here, this is very much underexposed when it comes to the field. And then we're still a little overexposed, but that's okay because it's a sky. So if I hit D for develop, because let's double check, this is a DNG, so this is a raw file. If we come in, we bring down our highlights to bring the clouds out a little bit more. We're going to be able to bring up the shadows quite a bit to try to bring that out. And of course, there's many things that you could do. If we jumped in, grabbed a mask, we grabbed a sky, we take our sky mask and let's grab it. We're going to duplicate and invert that mask. Now we can actually even bring up the shadows even more, bring up a little bit of the highlights, and bring up our whites and add a little bit of contrast. So we went from that to that. The detail is there. The detail is there in the shadows. If I tried to, let's reset this. If I tried to go ahead and expose this properly, so let's bring our histogram over so that our greenery is in the middle. Now that would be the normal exposure. That's what auto would probably give you. Man, that sky mask is so impressive. Yes. So, you know, that's shooting underexposed. So absolutely agree with that. That was a great comment. See, this is what I'm saying I don't like about the new histogram. The old one had the background grid, so you could see, yes. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Oliver, but the new HDR, this line down here is showing that my screen, which is not an HDR screen, is only showing that little bit of HDR, that yellow right there. All that red, my screen is not showing any of it. So I learned that yesterday, or this morning. Okay, let's get back in. What time is it? 2:30. All right, this photo here, taken in Norway. Williams, hello. We are going to talk about making a photo. This is trying to bring all the information that we've been given today and putting it together. So making a photo, take a moment to evaluate the subject. Is there action or movement? If so, do you want to stop the action? You want to have some blur to show the action. Then your shutter speed is the most important adjustment in this case. Set your shutter, then your aperture, and lastly, the ISO. If there is no or little movement, the aperture will be important here. Do you want a large depth of field, or for maybe a landscape or a shallow depth of field to blur the background and bring focus to the subject? Then the aperture would be first, shutter speed next, and lastly, the ISO. All right, this photo here, let's jump over into Lightroom Classic. Came across this, I don't know if this is considered no, it's not a fjord. This pond up in the mountains within Norway. And if you came across this, and I know you can see my settings if you're looking closely, and that's fine, I want you to think about what is the most important thing. Are the clouds moving? Are the clouds rolling across the sky very quickly? Was there a lot of wind? Was I trying to freeze it? What kind of depth of field am I going for? So these are the things that you're thinking about when you're trying to make a photo. You want to walk around, see where the best place is to take the photo. So in chat, looking at this, my glasses are like prime lenses. I have to physically move nearer to the screen to zoom. That's funny. I've got one right here. So in chat, let me know what would be, out of everything we've been talking about today, coming across a scene like this. Now, this is not analyzing this photo, okay? If you came walking across, you're out on a hike, you come across this scene, for you, which would be more important? Are you looking at as a landscape shot? Or are you looking at it as the cabin? Due to the location of the cabin, that is the subject of the photo. This photo is surreal. Yeah, I'm happy with this one. So, you know, if the cabin is a subject, and this is all up to you. This is all up to how you see it. And this is what we talk about when we say have a photographer's eye, or get your photographer's eye, make your eye better. And this is why I'm saying, I don't care if you don't have a real camera. If all you have is a phone, you're still developing your eye. You're still walking around, and you need to be able to look at a scene, look for a scene, look for a photo. Once you see something that is a possible that stops you and you think, okay, I think there's a photo here. I don't know yet. And over time, you become so much faster at processing right when you are walking and you see something and you're like, okay, where's the best place to stand? What's the subject? What's the most important thing? What's my settings? This all becomes second nature. My wife, for the past 12 years, my wife has been, as we travel all over Europe, 37 countries, I think, I'll be walking down the street and I stop in the middle of nowhere. I'm just stop, or I'm driving the car and I pull the car over really quick. And I used to be like, okay, I think I see a photo. I think there's something here, and I have to kind of study it. And I used to have to study it. Well, she was always with me by my side. Now, all she has is her phone, and she takes wonderful photos, but she has learned so much just by viewing what I'm seeing, following me and talking about like, oh, and then, you know, I'll set up a photo and then we'll talk about like, okay, this, that, the other thing. Devlin, hello. I love Norway. It's impossibly beautifully interesting just everywhere. It is. I loved it too. So that is something that you need to discover for yourself. That is how to develop your own eye as a photographer, as making pictures. So nobody has responded to me in chat, and I'm stunned by this. So the question is, again, if you see this landscape, would you think the cabin is a subject or the landscape? Evie says, love that, Shawn. My Tom has done the same, learned from me, and now brings me back gorgeous landscapes to edit. I've seen them. They are, Evie. You have every right to be proud. Jane comes in and says she would see a landscape. Thank you, Lady Jane. I thought I was alone. Bruce is questioning landscape. Oliver says, oh, I was going to respond, but you just kept talking. So I assumed it was a rhetorical question. Rick says, I like how this was focused. Mel says cabin. Now, okay, I find that interesting, Mel, because you are, and Alexis says cabin. Alexis, let me know if you're a portrait photographer. Mel is a portrait photographer. Cabin and its reflection is what caught my eye. Oliver, okay. All right, let's try something. Let's have some fun. Okay. We're gonna go G for grid. Let's go right click. We're gonna create a virtual copy. Let's get into this. Let's get D for develop. Let's come down to the new early access lens blur, and let's make the cabin the focus. So let's hit apply. I like the pinch of the back and the water. The puffin on the rock is the subject. Okay. I have to move my camera. I'm a pop-up foot photographer? What's a pop-up photographer? You take pictures of fathers? Low base, hello. Okay, so we are gonna go ahead, we're gonna grab the cabin as the focal. I am good. How about you? Let's go ahead, let's visualize the depth. And Carmen, hello. Oh, you missed a lot. Michelle says here, it's the cabin, but I probably wouldn't photograph the cabin. Turn a bit to the right and photograph the landscape. Okay. All right, so we can see what we've got going. We've got our gray for the sky. We've got our focal point, pretty much just two. We've got a foreground and then a midground. So we can turn this off, and let's actually get this a little bit even more. Let's say we shot this with like a 2.8. So I'm gonna shorten this up. Let's crank up the blur even more. Okay. Still not getting as much as I want. All right. I like what we've got going right there. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna grab a blur brush and take the amount down a little bit. Got that. I want to blur the background. Ooh, that is too much. Command Z. Okay, grab the blur. Or just focus on a few rocks and moss with a shallow depth of field, because that's what I always do. Mostly take pictures of my kids. I don't know. Oh, I don't know if I can say portrait photographer. Yeah, kids are people too. Okay. Bring that up just a little bit more. I had a photo gig. Alex, take care. I will see you later. Okay. Why are you not blurring right there? Okay. Paint that edge. I missed a little bit with that lens blur in camera raw. It's interesting. Why did you do that? Oh, messed. I got you. I got you, low base. Bring that back. Okay. Low base says, I've discovered it doesn't work quite as well on most of my subject, but it's still really cool to see. Yeah, I'm not overly a fan of the new lens blur at max. I was talking with the Lightroom Classic developers, and just to name drop a little bit, while I was at max in LA, hanging with the developers. In fact, I've got his business card right here. I told him, I said, look, I know it's brand new. It's still, technically it's in beta. It's early access. I'm not a fan. Rick says, wow, you're so cool. Yeah, I met some guy from HP. That's Hewlett Packard. Name drop. Did you go to Max, Shawn? You've not mentioned it. Okay. So this is what we've got going on. So this, I shot this at an f11 with a nice depth of field. Pretty much exactly what I wanted. And then if we were to go through and shoot it with a shallow depth of field, Low Base says, I just missed the last minute of chat because I was swooning. Max! Going, you know, this, if I was really trying to create this, I would probably bring it over into Photoshop and use field blur, something of that nature, if I was really trying to get into this. But as you can see, we've got a landscape photo, and then from here we've got more of it. The cabin is the focal point, and to take it even further, because of that, I love how you used a lens blur to turn this from how you shot it to how I'd probably have shot it. Well, this is, I mean, we've got the tools. I mean, we're talking about it on how to make a photo. So, you know, the purpose is I would try to have shot this properly with maybe a f2, jump in and shoot with an f2 and get that. So the subject was the house. This is what I'm working on now. Okay, I'm going over the top here, but as you can see, that was the before when I'm shooting a landscape, and then this would be after. If you're shooting, this pretty much feels like a tilt shift now. It's so overdone, but it feels like a tilt shift lens. But definitely you can see the cabin is the subject. So, I was trying it on insects, spiders, reptiles, and other well-camouflaged individuals. When it can't detect a clearly defined subject, it just kind of defaults to focus area, which may or may not be what I want. Yeah, you can see that. That's what I was meaning. I like to shoot stuff like this with a wide aperture, so there's a depth of field is pretty narrow. Oliver, I know what you photograph, Oliver. So people are new here. They may not know who you are. So, all right. I would call, and I'm not meaning to pigeonhole at all Oliver in chat, but I would call Oliver a nature photographer, and absolutely amazing. Don't you know who I am? Well, they will shortly. So shooting with a shallow depth of field, shooting insects, photographing, come on, Shawn, photographing birds, just the knowledge that Oliver has is also amazing overall when it comes to nature. So yes, photographing with a shallow depth of field and macro and everything else, every other tool that he uses, does an amazing job, does an absolutely amazing job. So when it comes to any type of nature photography, Oliver's the go-to. So Oliver has inspired me last summer to do the backyard photography of the videos and the photography of all of the butterflies. So yeah, so I totally understand that Oliver is like, I want a shallow depth of field. Of course you do, you always do. Okay, and just so everybody will know, Oliver is using Canon's L's, mostly a 100mm f2.8 70 to 200mm MK3 f2.8 or a 100 to 400 MK2. Low Base is saying, what I love about being a macro photographer is that you don't have to travel super far and go to exotic locations to do it. If I can make it in my favorite botanical garden, the bushes in my front yard will do just fine. That is true. That is true. Where are you located, Low Base? I mean, give me your exact address and your bank account numbers. No, just where are you from? I have to be careful saying that. That's a Paul Tranny joke. GPS coordinates are as follows. Where am I? We're in here. Let's okay. Now we are coming to the end of today's stream. I think, South Carolina, Charleston. All right. Yeah, you do have some bugs in there. I'm not ignoring chat. So not on it. Okay. All right. Evie, you got me there. Evie says, so not on an iPhone then. All right. Yes, you got me, Evie. All right. So, Low Base. Let me bring this up really quick. Actually, if you are interested with what we are going on, Alexis is French, based in Taiwan. Nice. I apologize earlier for the French joke that I made. That was mainly for Alex, Franck, and Sandrine. If you check low base, if you check the description, you're going to see a link to an Adobe Express page, and that is goes along with this stream. So if you wish to check it out, or you can check it out. That's it. I'm not going to say watch the replay unless you really want to. Ironically, one of my best-selling stock photos was taken with a Panasonic Compact. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I need to check something really quick. I don't know if Michelle is still here, but the reason I did this stream was for Michelle. Okay. All right. I'm just seeing what's here. I want to make sure. Let me open this up on the browser. Ooh. That is longer than I thought. All right. So Michelle, this is the Nikon Z5 with the f2Z and a 50mm lens. And so we were talking about this before, and as you can see, let me go big head mode really quick. This lens, in comparison to the camera, is the 50mm, not the exact same one, but pretty close. Yeah, she's got the 1.4, I have the 1.8. But pretty close to the same lens, and so you can see that it's almost as long. That lens is bigger than mine. Yeah, that one's bigger than mine. Okay. Random thing, I just switched from Crowdfire to Adobe Express to do all my social media scheduling. Nice. Yeah, especially since it's included. If you have a Creative Cloud, ooh, General, yes it does. Yes it does. Because that's actually what the length of the lens is. So size does matter. Unless, you know, you wouldn't, if you wanted to shoot, you know, sports and you want close-ups, you wouldn't buy a 23mm lens. You want the big one. So yes it does. Yeah, Adobe Express, really quick. I am an Adobe Express ambassador, if you haven't, if you didn't know. And especially the scheduling when it came out, God, it's been a long time now. Since it's included in the CC, and I know people pay a lot of money for scheduling, it makes sense. Just makes sense. Okay, I really hope that this was helpful. If anybody has any questions, let's actually get to a photo. There we go. Not that one. Bring up a bird. Do that. If you have any more questions when it comes to photography, send them in the Discord. Let me know. I want to help Michelle out. I mean, today was kind of a basic thing, but if there's a way that I can help Michelle download her images using Lightroom Classic, let alone anybody. This is the entire reason I do these streams, is to help you. I'm not paid by Adobe. I'm not. I have a handful of subscribers. I've done 280 plus streams. I do it because I want to help. So definitely not doing it for the money. Speaking of that, if you feel like you like what I do, feel free to subscribe right there, or buy me a cup of Joe. and I'll give you a wallpaper from Budapest. Okay, Evie's got a question. Let's bring that up. So HEIC is the RAW in iPhone, and I need to underexpose and export as a JPEG. Okay. Low Base says, I'm relieved to hear it. I've been streaming 7 years as of last month and still don't think I've made gas money yet. No. I mean, I've got amazing numbers. Subscribers get extra credits for giving digs. That's true. All right. Yeah, okay, Oliver's saying HEIC isn't RAW, it's just a different compressed format to a JPEG. Lightroom export as a JPEG or PNG, or do I export as an HEIC? You don't export as an HEIC because not many programs will be able to read it. So you do want to save it as a JPEG. PNG, only if you've got like transparency, but otherwise a JPEG with a quality turned up to 7 or 11, but not an HEIC. I would not. I'm sick and tired of having to go through and reformat and my wife's photos. So yes, hopefully that helps. Yeah, Lightroom supports HEIC, but if you're sending to other people, export as a JPEG or a PNG. Boom. There you go. Thank you, Oliver. Have to export them as a JPEG for the MacBook. Yep. Wait, Evie, did you said you were taking pictures using the Lightroom app, correct? So if you open up Lightroom on the desktop, you're going to have, you're going to be able to export from Lightroom, and I'm reading chat. HEIC also gets iffy for the web. Yeah, it does. Let's open Lightroom. Come on. There are so many options for saving and exporting from Lightroom. There is. Okay, Evie says yes. Yeah, so, oh, that's not what I wanted. Do that. I close Lightroom? Did. It's reading my desktop. Okay. These are not HEIC, but yeah. A lot of the exports options that they were talking about yesterday, Ben was talking about on the stream, is with the HDR. So you've got some very basic options. So you've got your JPEG large, JPEG small. You can make your custom settings right there. Or you can export the original. I would not do that if I was you. Personally, I love doing the JPEG large. Maybe small would be okay. 2048, that's okay. That's not that bad. So Photoshop 2024 arrived or not? Hasinain, hello, by the way. And yes, it is out. You've got, let me go into all apps. Actually, let's go into updates. And Photoshop, there we go. I went right by it. Photoshop 2024 is actually 25.1. Version 25.1. Photoshop 2024 is the name that is out. Also, you have Photoshop for the web, which is out of beta. There you go. Okay. Don't try a GIF. All right, we're going to be ending this now. I'm going to be streaming again in 2 hours with Jack Watson on the Firefly Discord. We're probably going to be doing some type of prompt jockey, maybe ping pong or something of that nature. So you can jump over to the Firefly Discord. If you don't know what that is, let's jump over here to the Discord. You are going to see the Firefly Discord right there. Jumping in, let me scroll down, and coming up to events. Go ahead, copy that. And so starting in 2 hours, we've got the, let me move my side. We've got the daily Firefly Hangout with Jack Watson and myself. So you can jump into that, and to jump in, if you scroll all the way down, you're going to see the stage right there. Or if you hit interested, it will send you a link. Bam. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I have to get out of streamer mode. Streamer. This is so dumb that streamer mode does this. All right, I'm ending. Oh, it's low base. Okay. Great detail. Wow. Look at that bubble. That's some great color. Dang. I hate these things. I hate them. I hate them. But wow, look at that. Let me know, what did you use to photograph these? Ooh. I have not been down south that much. If they're the ones I think of, they bite. That's why I hate them, Nor. I don't think they're too fond of you either. No. No. Oh. Great sharpness, great detail. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. They never sit still when I want to photograph them. Well, don't run after them, Michelle. That is some wonderful work. That is great. Welcome to the community. Keep them coming. I like that. You have to ask their permission. Yeah, it's tough to get a model release. I think they're scared of me. That's a possibility. That is a possibility. All right. I am not seeing any more questions. Thank you for sharing that. I love showing off the community's artwork. We can all learn from each other. Smush them, they don't move much. I heard a guy, now Oliver's gonna freak. This is like 10 years ago, so this is not ethical. I read in a photography book about a guy going into his backyard and catching whatever is in his backyard and putting them in the freezer for a little bit and then bringing them out and photograph. Now, I know I brought this up before and Oliver is absolutely like against it, everything ethically, and I must agree, I've never done that. But it is better than like catching a butterfly and pinning it down. You touch a butterfly's wings, it'll die. Okay, everybody. Today was a lot of fun. I've done this workshop. I think this is the third time that I've done it. And everything for anything for a good photo. No. General. That guy got a lot of flack for that. It's a really bad idea. I hope he did. I hope he did. I was amazed the fact it was like digital photography. It was a big magazine. I was just stunned that they printed it. Mel says, great stream. When you on next? And what's the next topic? Mel, I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing some After Effects, making a new background. I don't know. This streaming 6 days a week or 6 times a week, it takes a lot of brain effort to come up with content. So, yeah, I can't wait. So I will be streaming on Thursday, normal time, wherever you are in the world. Same time as this, but on Thursday. Try 8 days a week. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Oh, what I was going to say is I've done this workshop here like 3 times. This is the 3rd time. And the interaction by chat was absolutely amazing and probably the most fun going through this workshop as it's ever been for me. So thank you for that. And I think that's it. Everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll probably see you in chat on Behance Live or Adobe Live, Behance Live, Adobe Live. Have a great rest of the day. Stay safe, stay creative. Just be nice. You know, yeah, I'm not going to go down that road. I don't understand how the leaves don't stack up behind you. Oh, Nor, I'm on a cliff. Queen Bee, hello. Have a great day. Yeah, I'm going to end it. Bye, Bruce's mom. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.